Thanks so much, everybody. My name's Elizabeth Terry, and I'm here with my colleague Amy Rainwater, who was the one who reached out and made this connection, and also with Matt Corona. So we're all part of the heat pump support team and wanted to come here today and talk to you a little bit about some of the rebates associated with heat pumps and how businesses can take advantage of them. Matt or Amy, would you like to jump in?
Yeah. Um, so yeah, like Elizabeth said, we're all part of the heat pump support team. Our team does provides a few different services to residences and businesses in Connecticut through Energize Connecticut. Am I able to share screen? I know. Okay, it looks like
Yep.
if
Danny can give you permission.
yeah, if you can, that'd be awesome. Just because the visual part would be much a big help
I
to
think you
show
need
off.
to stop sharing for Matt to be able to share.
Oh, I can do that.
I
Hang
can
on.
only let one at a time.
There you go.
So thank you. Awesome. Wait. Okay, great. This is gonna work. So our team, we're basically, we don't do any sales or installation. If for those who don't know what, does everyone here familiar with Energized Connecticut?
I mean, give us the 15-second description just
Okay.
to level set everyone.
So Energized Connecticut is really like the umbrella program branding for all the energy efficiency programs through EverSource and United Illuminating, who are the big electric utilities here. So, for those who don't know, everybody who's a utility customer of EverSource or UI pays into the energy efficiency fund. So it's a very small part of the public benefit charge, and everyone therefore has access to all of the service, all of the programs to Energize CT. There's some like rules and stuff. So not everybody, but there should be stuff available for utility customers through Energize CT. One of those services, so there's a few different things. There's educational services, like I'll tell you a little bit about this heat pump consultation. There's also incentives, which Elizabeth mentioned. For heat pumps, you can get a rebate. Homes or businesses can get rebates for heat pumps. And so, what this heat pump consultation service is set up to do really is to meet anyone where they're at. Homes or businesses, we provide the consultation service for homeowners, for renters, landlords, commercial, small businesses, industrial, larger buildings. We're happy to talk to folks from schools or who operate municipal buildings, or really anybody who has a meter at their house or building. So we can start with people as simple as like trying to figure out what a heat pump is and how it works and if it makes sense for their home, so the very basics, all the way to once people are getting quotes or businesses are going out to bid for their projects, we can help them evaluate quotes they're getting. We can help them compare performance between different systems, the scope of work between different systems. We can check eligibility for all the incentives. So really, we're like an unbiased resource for any home or business at any stage of their heat pump, or we're not only even focused on heat pumps, or it's focused around heat pumps, but we're happy to talk to people about solar, other decarbonization measures like batteries, electric panel upgrades, all the things associated with energy, HVAC and energy upgrades in their homes. Also, the rain just got really intense, so it's really loud in here. I don't know if that's impacting my sound. I'm sorry, but anyway, the consultation service all virtual. You can see here the sign-up's like very easy. It's you select your type of project, and we have a 15 minute and 45-minute option, which are really only just the timing where we listen a lot to figure out what people want, and so there's not like limited. Only 15 minutes can cover anything, just less time. Yeah, the scheduling's all very simple. What we really want to do is to drive participation in the commercial. Am I still showing my screen? Okay, yeah, sorry. what we really want to do is drive participation in the commercial incentive program, or I'm sorry, in the commercial consultation, because we launched that about a year ago, and the residential one we're always booked out like 2 or 3 weeks, but the commercial consultation we have more availability right now, and so that was really the impetus for us reaching out to. I've like I mentioned to someone in the chat, like I've been to some of the events in Simsbury, and you guys have been a great partner in the past. And Bayard, I know we worked together before, and I'm well acquainted with Mark Scully, who's not here, but he's great. And so yeah, if you know, I think we have. I'm glad to educate anyone about the consultation service, but I think what the focus of tonight would be great is if we can chat about any opportunities to get in front of small businesses in Simsbury. So you know, if there are any connections y'all have to chambers of commerce, I heard some mention of that earlier. Or Bayard, you're talking about doing a survey or some sort of outreach to commercial, to small businesses. We would love to piggyback on that somehow, if possible. Maybe I don't know if that's what you're thinking, Jamie, when you said there's some relevancy, but yeah. So I'll just stop there. Can answer any questions or
Matt, there's
thoughts?
one question in the chat. It says, for residential heat pump installation in Connecticut, is there an online calculator to spec out a system, including rough purchase, install, maintenance pricing for either replacing existing or new construction?
Actually, so what I'll say, and I'll preface in pulling this up, is that every home and business is buildings are very different, all of them. So upfront costs vary a lot, and there's only so much, only so many variables you can enter in like a basic calculator that's built for everybody. So we do have a calculator on the website that I'm going to pull up for you and show you right now. But yeah, the best thing to do to get an estimate of the cost would be to get quotes, obviously. Let's see here. The calculator. So it's called our clean heating and cooling calculator. And so this is a great preliminary resource. And I mentioned, quote comparisons in our earlier. We actually, so this is here's how I'll send the link in the chat here so people can play around with it. But this will give you a pretty good estimate of potential operational savings and upfront cost. But really the next step beyond this would be to do a quote comparison with us, where we actually have modeling software. We take the performance data of the heat pumps that you're getting quoted, and we actually model a season's operation of the system compared to what you have to give you a really good estimate. This is like a little bit more basic. It's not pulling in the performance data of your specific heat pump you're getting recommended, it's still useful, just less precise as later down the line. So here, yeah, I mean, I take the time to walk through, but you enter a bunch of information and it spits out some estimated costs and operational expense as well.
So, Matt, the technology you're talking about is, like for one of the rooms in my house, I have one of those, Mitsubishi, mini splits, they call it. You're talking about that technology, right?
Yeah, that's one way they can look. So you're talking about ductless heat pumps.
Yeah.
There are ducted heat pumps as well. So I'm just pulling up. These are some visual resources we have.
So you're just talking about solutions for the whole house?
No, they could be partial solutions as well. Heat pumps are very versatile. So there are designs that are more simple, like the single zone ductless unit that you kind of described for your home. But there's whole home ducted heat pumps. So there's centrally ducted heat pumps. There's multi-zone systems. So you can do one outdoor unit with multiple of those ductless heads, like you're talking about, Joe, and those can serve a whole home. So really, we're not focused on any specific, just whole home or just partial. Really, we're trying to understand what people's goals are, and then provide information that helps them achieve those goals, whether it's just solving a small comfort issue, or maybe they want to fully go all electric in their home, and we're going to help them work toward that goal.
And you would recommend companies to do to purchase from and do the install?
We do have a heat pump installer network, which are a list of contractors who can offer the incentives through Energize CT. I wouldn't call it like a recommended contractor list because, what we do is we make sure that they're insured and licensed and trained, but I'm floundering right now on my links. But beyond like making sure they're legitimate businesses and that they're like legally allowed to do work, there's still going to be like better and worse contractors. So we recommend doing other research as well. But that's part of why the consultation is valuable too, because we can do that comparison and help them evaluate actually what they're getting recommended. But one thing I'll say too is that you guys can tell people who the contractors you like locally are. So I can't say, hey, you should go with these guys. But if you have partners that you like and we do events together, you can say, hey, and we've got these local partners, check them out. I don't know. So
I would say similar to you, Matt, we can make people aware of licensed and reputable vendors that we are aware of, but we do not endorse. We cannot endorse explicitly or imply endorsement of any vendors.
Yeah, as
Totally.
long as they're on the heat pump installer network, then they would make it so that customer would be eligible for those rebates. Conversely, if they're not part of the heat pump installer network and they do install something, then they would not get those rebates.
And the enrollment process is not terribly difficult, to be honest. I mean, they have to be legitimate businesses, but it's not very arduous. It'd take them a few days to get enrolled, assuming they're licensed and insured. So, yeah, and I totally get that, Jamie. We've worked with other sustainability, local organizations who do have like, 3 or 4 contractors they've kind of like done some vetting on, and we're happy to support you guys on like criteria for that and evaluation, all that stuff. But we can't. It sounds like you're in the same position, but yeah, we can't say like you should pick these are the best ones or anything, just because our team is actually also the team that manages the installer network, so it'd be just like a conflict of interest, of course. So.
That's clear. And to the point that you raised earlier, yes, I definitely do think this is something that we can bring to a conversation with the Chamber of Commerce, reiterating your point that you have a lot of bandwidth right now to be looking to help businesses with this. Yes, residents, please also take advantage of the program, but there's a bit more of a waiting list there, but trying to solicit businesses to take advantage of this free service from your program.
Yeah, and always looking for residences too. So like when there, any opportunity we can get and get in front of people, and whether it's tabling events or presentations, we're happy to do that. But yeah, especially on the commercial side, just because we can totally take on more, and I think there's a lot of opportunity there. So yeah, any channels to do that, with partnering with you all would be fantastic. So any ideas are welcome. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Matt.
I don't know whose hand up when it went up first, so sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
If we were thinking of doing some kind of a campaign, 2 things. One, I think there's funding from Eversource to support campaigns. I think there's potential to get a $2,500 grant for, like, if we were going to do mailings and things or have an event expenses. So I think I understand that there is money available there. And then the other thing is, this applies more to residential, but I understand that home energy solutions audits are now free. I think the fee is being waived. So it would be a great time to do a campaign with this, these monies available.
Is that are you talking about the home energy solutions income eligible, or is that
I was told it's not just income eligible, it's the regular as well.
To be honest, that's news to me. If that's
it was news to me too.
Okay. All right, glad we're on the same page at least. No, that's awesome. I mean, if they're normally $75 for those who didn't know, but that's super cool if that's something they're doing. Danielle.
Hey. So I have one quick clarifying question and then probably a longer question for you. One, in terms of the consultations, is it a one-off, or do you actually provide like no cost consultation sessions throughout the process from like purchasing, install? Okay. So
Yeah,
folks, if I'm a business, I can ask for like unlimited amount of consultations to walk me through the process.
pretty much. Yeah, within reason,
Okay.
of course. But yeah, no, we often have people like have an initial conversation, and then later down the line they get quotes and they come back and we do a quote comparison. I always tell people at the end like they can email me with any questions. So I get a lot of follow-up emails just with like, hey, I talked to some contractors and heard this or that. Can you clarify something? Yeah. So it happens all the time.
Okay. And then I guess, what the discussion that we were having a little bit earlier kind of touched on this. I'm assuming that a huge barrier for a small business would be like getting those quotes and trying to like figure out doing that outreach, right? That takes a lot of time that I think businesses likely don't have, especially small businesses. So curious as to what you see as the biggest barriers for businesses not doing this, because obviously your commercial roster is small right now, or you're trying to get folks in the door. So
Yeah.
really curious as to what you think the biggest barriers are to that right now.
Yeah, I would think I will lean on some of my CET friends here to chime in after me here, but I think what you pointed out is like the time and attention it takes to like and this is true of everybody, when it comes to making an HVAC replacement, the easiest thing to do is replace what you have with another version of the same thing. And so and often, especially with businesses, if their business is dependent on there being heating or cooling in the space, then you need to make that replacement really quickly. So I do think that the time and effort it takes to go to make a change, to go from a furnace or whatever to a heat pump, does take more investment up front in terms of getting multiple quotes. They're expensive upgrades, so you also need to understand the financing and incentives that are available through the utilities. So we just had a great conversation with the Wyndham Chamber of Commerce, and they were saying that some of the best success they had with businesses was like, instead of sending out like mailers or calling or those things that you need to like grab their attention, just like straight up like going to the business and walking in and giving them some advice like right then and there. So we haven't tried much of that, but like that might be helpful to like just show up and like go to them rather than wait for them to come to us. This kind of got me thinking about that. But yeah, see, Elizabeth, Amy, you have anything to share?
Sure, I would just add that it's an educational effort on our part. A lot of businesses aren't super aware of what is a heat pump, how does it work. Oh, there are rebates associated with it. So a big part of our role is just spreading the word and making sure people know that these opportunities are available to them. And as Matt said, not only are they available, but we are all paying into the funding every month when we pay our electric and gas bills. So we should really, from a self-interest perspective, do some research on all the programs that we can take advantage of, because we are all paying in. So I'd say education is a really big part of it. But Amy, if you'd like to add anything, please go ahead.
No, I definitely agree with that. I guess the only other thing is word of mouth, really. And it might have been, I mean, I've said it to a bunch of people. Jennifer Weymouth might have been one of them. It's really hard to give away free. And the more people that, that the individuals and the businesses hear from, I think it lends more credibility. I call somebody and the first thing they want to do is hang up on me because they think I'm selling them something. And I did a farmer's market in Middletown last year, and at least 50% of the people who walked by my tables asked me what I was selling. And, obviously my response was, I'm not selling anything. I'm giving away information, but it's that I think the word of mouth really and the promotion by known entities like you guys, because they don't know who I am. They don't know who CET is. They don't know who a boat is. They know who Energized CT is, and they see the tablecloth. But even still, I hate to say that the credibility isn't there, but you guys know as much as we do that, not everybody's happy with the utilities. So any word of mouth that we can get from any entity that holds credibility, it always puts us, I think, a little bit further up.
Thanks for that. No,
I
that
had
totally makes sense.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just saying that.
I was just going to say, I just had two really quick questions, just to help me understand the technology again. So if I had a 1,000 square foot room, and let's say I was cooling it with a window unit, some sort of plug-in window unit, and I was heating it with baseboard electric heat. If I replace that solution with a heat pump, like what's the like efficiency factor gained, or the the cost, or kilowatt hour, like what's the difference there?
Yeah. Joe, how much do you like graphs?
Oh yeah, sure.
You like
Just something
graphs?
quick. I don't want to tie everyone up,
No,
but
no.
it
Don't
would
worry.
just help me, when I want to speak about it.
Yeah.
It seems.
I understand. Yeah, totally. So the case that you laid out is probably the best candidate for a heat pump. In terms of operational potential for operational savings. Hold on, let me pull up this graph for you. Where is it?
And related to that, what's the lowest temperature you can really push, a heat pump to heat a room?
Yeah, okay. Another great question. So, let me start with that while I'm pulling up the slides here. So, heat pumps, there's heat pumps that are built for all different climates and for different goals. And so in the last 10 years or so, heat pump performance in cold temperatures has gotten a lot better. And nowadays there's cold climate heat pumps, which is kind of like the industry term for systems that are built for our climate. And there are systems that are built for even colder climates. So they measure heat pump performance at a range of temperatures. So up at 47 degrees, and then again at 17 and at 5. And then nowadays they're measuring systems at -4 degrees and -13 degrees and -20 degrees and -30 degrees. So they have the manufacturers test if they're, not all systems are built for those really, really cold temperatures, but they're testing them there. And so in the data, we can see like how efficient they are at all those different temperatures, how much heat they can move at all those different temperatures. So 1 second here. It's hard for me to talk and find this at the same time, but office hours.
But
So
I'll just anecdotally add, Joe, that there's been tremendous success with the installation of heat pumps in Maine. The state of Maine has made a huge effort to have folks install them. So if Maine can do it, Connecticut definitely can.
Mhm.
Yeah. So two things happen when it gets colder with heat pumps. And so the first thing is that they get less efficient, like meaning that they're moving heat from outside, and when there's less heat outside in the air, they have to work harder per BTU to move that heat in your home. So per BTU they're moving, they use more electricity, and so they get less efficient. But they're still very efficient. We can look at that. We'll look at that more in a second. But also what happens is some heat pumps lose some of their ability to move heat when it gets colder as well. So I've got kind of like two examples here. So at 47 degrees, I mentioned that's one temperature they measure them. Both systems can move 30,000 BTUs. So that's like an amount of heat. But down at 5 degrees, the heat pump on the left here actually can't even move half of that 30,000 BTUs down at 5 degrees. So Whereas the cold climate heat pump can move all of what it says on its sticker down at 5 degrees. So this is kind of like the big difference between cold climate and standard heat pumps is like you're asking what temperature can they work down to. It's not really, that's not the more important question is how much heat can they move down at those cold temperatures, because when it's cold is when your home needs all the heat. And if the system says, hey, I move 30,000 BTUs, but then when you need 30,000 BTUs, it doesn't, you want the system that can move, the contractor that's sizing the system would figure out how much heating your home needs at the design temperature for our area, which is 5 is like kind of a good proxy for Connecticut's cold climate. And then they'd figure out what does your home need and then figure out or match the equipment to that need. So it's less about the equipment selection is important, but it's also the match to what the home needs, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I was just wondering, like, hey, if it costs me $1,000 a year to heat and cool, with the window unit and baseboard, how much will it cost me to heat and cool with a heat pump?
So in that situation you described, like roughly half. So here's the operational
Okay,
cost.
that's all I
Okay.
need to, but it is that much of a savings. Okay.
For electric resistance heat. So, and just, am I boring everyone to death here, or do you want to look at this graph?
That's okay.
All right. So, there's a temperature scale here down at the bottom. What we're looking at here is the cost to create or move 1 million BTUs. So it's like an amount of heat, a lot of heating energy, with different heating systems. So there's a temperature scale here down here. And then there's 2 y-axes. So on the left, we're looking at the average number of heating hours, and that's represented by this shape here in the back. And that's showing us that, the vast majority of our heating hours for Hartford weather data happen between 30 and 60 degrees. So, we do get some cold temperatures, but like progressively less hours, obviously, at those very cold temperatures. And so what these lines are using is this y-axis on the right here, and that's showing us that cost for that million BTUs. And electric resistance heat, which is electric baseboard, like you just mentioned, Joe, is way up here. So the cost to create 1 million BTUs with electric baseboard is like $85. But with, we've got 3 example heat pumps on here, and because they're moving heat that already exists from outside compared to the electric baseboard, which is turning electricity into heat. So you can't get out more than you put in. You're turning electricity into the heat. With the heat pump, because they're powering a system that's moving the heat from outside, you can move a lot more heat than the electric energy you're putting in. And so for the same amount of energy, you can get a lot more heat into the home. And like these lines are straight across because it doesn't matter how efficient, how cold it is outside when you're using electric resistance, but with a heat pump, they get less efficient. So you can see like the cost line goes up per million BTUs when it gets colder. But yeah, a lot more efficient than electric resistance. Savings to be seen between propane and oil as well, but less so.
Yeah, you're moving it, you're not creating it, is a good way to phrase it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I went overboard on your question. I'm sorry. But
no, that's good. I get it.
Cool.
And this is an example of the type of information that you can share with residents, business owners, etc.
Yep. And this is what I talk about in a console. And then when people get to the phase of like having quotes, we can create, the graph wouldn't look the same, but it's the same math where we're modeling what they might expect to spend for their own home. And compared to, they could even tell us, like, give us the oil usage history, and we'll, help figure out how their costs might change for the heat pump. So.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments from the group?
I just wanted to bring up really quick. I'm not sure if you mentioned it, Matt, but installing heat pumps doesn't mean that you have to displace what you currently use. So if you have natural gas and you wanted to add heat pumps to that, then you can install integrated controls, which keeps your old source, installs the heat pumps, and then it switches back and forth depending on what the temperature is outside. And as long as you install integrated controls, then you would still be eligible for those same rebates as if you'd fully displaced.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. That's absolutely true. So, if anyone noticed, I didn't mention it, but natural gas is cheaper to use than heat pumps for heating, with current energy costs. So, yeah, Amy, that's a great case for like, and I would, to be on a consultation, I would never tell someone with gas that they were going to save money. You know what I mean? So we're honest about everything. I'm not, like I said, I'm not selling heat pumps or anything, but yeah, it's a great case for doing a dual fuel system with the integrated control.
I dropped this question in the chat, but wanted to know if you had like a roster of small businesses that would be like willing to talk to other businesses about the process, or do you have case studies that we could share out? Anything like that?
That's a great question. We definitely have case studies for residential. There's no official case studies from Energize CT for commercial heat pumps right now. I think they're working on some. Oh, Amy,
I have, well, when I was given materials, when I first got brought over to the Energize CT program, there were some case study documents in there. I did not read them. I'm assuming
those are all
they're from the utility.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Those are all residential case studies, unfortunately,
Okay.
but which we can totally share with you guys. But
Yep.
I actually think the marketing team right now is working on some commercial ones. Things happen slowly on that front, so I can't promise anything, but I'll look into it.
Yeah, no,
Danielle,
you know, yeah, go ahead.
Danielle, just from doing a little bit of research for our newsletter, I mean, we have a large private school that does geothermal. We have several businesses that use heat pumps. We have several businesses that have large solar arrays. So there are a number of businesses that use good energy practices.
Yeah. No, you know, piggybacking on what Amy said, just the lending credibility point, it'd be great to kind of like compile those and talk through the process of how easy or not so easy it is to install. But that's great.
On that note too, what I think's been successful in other with other organizations has been like, this has been on the resi side, but I think it totally makes sense for businesses too, is if we do a presentation, we've had people who have had heat pumps installed like recently come and speak about their experience and answer questions about what was it like getting quotes and all those things. So yeah, totally agree. It's awesome to hear from people who have already done it. I think especially on the business side too, because they're going to be talking about like the business case of like why it made sense for them financially, and there's a little bit more to it, because businesses are more complicated in general. We've definitely worked with some commercial customers. Elizabeth, maybe we can touch base on this offline to maybe we can circle back to some of the folks we've done consultations for to see if they'd be willing to talk to folks about their experience.
That would be great.
Sure.
Yeah, and just to wrap this up, just going back to Mark's point, I looked at the home energy solution, and it is free if you schedule something between August and October.
Oh, sounds like a promo window.
There's no copay for the next 6 months.
Amazing.
Whatever that is, 5 months. So.
I also looked that up when we were talking, and I found the same thing. So that's awesome.
And that's something, Baird, maybe we can put on the Green Coalition Facebook page just to make people aware of.
I already did.
Oh, see, you're so on top of it. Excellent.
So economical.
and I sent it to Danny to put it on our website and Facebook page.
Brilliant. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking us through all of these details today. And it sounds like we've got a lot of really fun follow-ups on this topic. Matt, Amy, I really appreciate that you guys approached us on this, and looking forward to seeing how this works for some of our businesses in the area. Thank you, Elizabeth, as well.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
Take care, y'all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. And now I have the exciting opportunity to introduce our Sustainable CT Fellow, our summer fellow, Amelia. So Amelia, if you would like to take the floor, introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's nice to meet you all. As Jamie said, I'm the Sustainable CT Fellow for this summer in this region. So I'm also working at the Capital Region Council of Government office as well. So doing work with both of those things. I don't know if everybody's familiar with Sustainable CT, so I can just do like a super quick overview. But Sustainable CT is a nonprofit in Connecticut. And we mainly work with municipalities to help them with sustainability projects and to like recognize the work that they've done on sustainability issues. And so the way that we do this is with certification. There's 3 different levels, bronze, silver, and gold. And you can get certified by completing different actions in various categories. And they're all worth different numbers of points. And then the different levels have like different point requirements and some other requirements as well. So yeah, Simsbury was last certified in 2019. And yeah, I'm excited to be working with you guys and learning more about the stuff you're doing. And hopefully maybe you guys will get certified again.
Thank you for introducing. I would love to kind of take this as a moment to, because I will say the Sustainable CT certification process is something that has been, as Amelia mentioned, we were successful in the past of being certified. We are currently not at the moment. And, there is discussion of, are we chasing certification for the sake of certification? In this case, I actually think that what we're looking at here is an opportunity, number one, to understand from Sustainable CT some of the, whether it's our peer municipalities who are already engaged in programs on waste and energy that are similar to what we're trying to tackle here, how they have navigated those topics, potentially also alerting us to grant sources or matching funding sources for some of what we're trying to initiate. So the certification is one big piece of it. And also there's so much more, so many more resources that Sustainable CT brings to the table. So I don't know if there's any questions for Amelia.
I can just mention quickly, like in addition to certification, the other big thing is the match fund that we offer. And so that's like dollar for dollar up to $6,000 on our side. And once the town is registered with Sustainable CT, which Simsbury is, it's available to anybody from the town. So not just like, officials, but also just any resident, which is a pretty cool opportunity.
And maybe you could share with us some examples of how other people or municipalities have used those matching funds.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of examples off the top of my head, but I know a big one that has been done is like composting initiatives using it, community gardens, that sort of thing. It just has to be a project that's like community centered and would benefit the entire municipality. But yeah, there's been a lot of cool ones for sure.
And I did put you on the spot there, so. So if we are to go down the path of becoming certified again, which is a question we would need to, agree on. This is a case of many hands making light work. So there is some documentation that has to happen. For example, if we were to talk about our wonderful fair that we've been doing for the last couple of years at the library, it's entering that in the appropriate space in the submission form, and then also probably attaching pictures of the event, the flyer from the event, maybe recording some bits of information about which vendors were there. Those are the sorts of documentations that typically are involved, correct, Amelia?
Yes. Yep. Spot on.
So if we do go down this path again, which looks like, there is the possibility of, but not anything committed at this point, it would be, if this is something that you're interested in and would want to help us with, this could be where we could use volunteers to help us, whether it's gather the information together, get pictures from a meeting that you might have been at or an event that you might have been at, or to actually sit and put some of the information into the form, that might be a volunteer opportunity for folks. And I did put some information in the chat about Sustainable CT and its certifications. And I see Mark dropped some in the chat as well about prior matching grants. Any other questions or?
We used to have community gardens in Simsbury. Danny, do you know if we still have them? They used to be over behind Ethel Walker School property on, what's that, Plank Hill Road? Are they still there?
It's still there.
Oh, they're still there. Well, I used to have.
We do have a few community gardens. I don't know the list of all of them off the top of my head, but yeah, we do.
Yeah, so they're still running. Yeah, I used to have a little tiny plot over there at the community garden on Plank Hill Road, but they're very successful. And
That's awesome.
and there's a waiting list of residents, to get into the community garden. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We do have that. And I think many of them that are year after year continued gardeners that come back to the gardens.
That's really awesome. Yeah. And yeah, I think there's a lot of things that Simsbury is already doing that would qualify like within the different actions. Most towns do already have a lot of stuff. Like pre-certification. There's usually just a couple of things that, maybe they're working on or decide they want to start doing after the fact. It's really more just about like documenting it all. Yeah.
Excellent. Any other questions for Amelia while she's with us today? Well, thank you very much, Amelia. I know you hung in there for a good chunk of time, and I appreciate that.
It was interesting.
Well, yeah, and I mean, heat pumps is one of those conversations that does get to be technical and starts to get into depth. So it was a lot of information for me as well. We will definitely be in touch and really appreciate your help to this point. For example, this could be an opportunity if we don't receive the grant funds that we were hoping to for the waste initiative in the schools. This could be something maybe where we talk about, would this make sense to approach for matching funds? And then of course we would have to raise our share of that match, but definitely great to know that this resource exists.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me. Also, I just want to say hi, Susan. But yeah, feel free to reach out if you guys have any questions. I'm here to help.
Thank you so much, Amelia. Okay. All right. So this actually gives us a nice segue into the next topic on the new business agenda. So in the last few days, I was actually made aware of a really exciting opportunity for us as the Sustainability Committee, myself as the chair, to present to the Board of Finance a showcase essentially of the work that we have been doing. And they're asking this of all the different committee and board chairs, just to be aware of what's happening, I think, and for us also to educate and to highlight what we're working on. And they've asked for us to share 6 activities or programs that we have underway. I don't think it has to be 6 if we don't have 6, but I wanted to bring this to the group in order to align and also to think through what should we be highlighting in this venue. I think for sure some of the things that come to mind first are the annual fair at the library. I mean, that is such a centerpiece of our activities over the last couple of years, and the school waste mitigation plans that we're working on, beginning with recycling and ultimately hoping to move into food waste. There are others floating around in my head, but I don't want to monopolize this. So I thought I'd open the floor for thoughts here. I will say they've asked for like a brief description and ideally a picture or two to help bring it to life in their meeting.
Well, I think the energy plan clearly should be on there. and
Agreed.
possibly the ongoing newsletter.
Love those ideas.
Jamie, did they ask any questions regarding when Mark had presented, oh geez, when, last fall? Mark, did you present to Board of Selectmen regarding the sustainability strategic plan? Do they have any questions for you, Jamie, regarding any of that?
So that's a great point, Lydia, and one that I think Baird might be moving into as we wrap this topic. So it is not yet on the Board of Finance's radar, I think, to ask questions at this moment. So we've been discussing with the Department of Public Works and with with the school system with Jason Casey, and we are now in a position where we are ready to put some information together to go to the Board of Finance and then ultimately the tri-board, right? So the Board of Finance, Board of Education, Board of Selectmen will all need to be brought on. And then ultimately it is a conversation to endorse. I'm going to use that word endorse because we're trying to decide if it's adopt or acknowledge, but what the right language is around endorsing the plan by the Board of Selectmen. So at this moment, building on Baird's comment, was the work that we have been doing to take what Mark had previously presented and bring it through all of the stakeholders in town and really get everyone's alignment and really make sure that we're building a financially sound investment plan as well as an environmentally and human health investment plan for the town. So that definitely, it's tricky because it's not a quick sound bite in their meeting, but it is something, yes, I personally feel belongs in this list and is also a longer separate conversation with them. I don't know, Mark.
The Board of Finance, Jamie, right? You
Correct.
were talking about, right, because Mark did present to Board of Selectmen and Board of Education. So we got to hear the draft, proposal of what we were doing. So I was just curious, what their continuing questions would be regarding this.
Agreed.
Because the Board of Finance will have questions on this, because this is really a new initiative, something new. When you talk in terms of personnel and budgets, it's something new, and it's a new concept for really all three boards to kind of grasp.
Well, Jamie, can we dive into that then?
Sure. Well, let me run this through. I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'll just table for one moment. Is there anything else, or I will say, actually, in the interest of keeping the conversation moving, yes, we can move into that. And then if anyone has other ideas of things they would like to highlight, spotlight in this annual, and again, this is just sort of, hey, what we've been up to in this past year, some important initiatives that we as a sustainability committee have taken on in the past year. If you have thoughts that haven't been verbalized yet, please drop them in the chat or send them to the members, via email. And then with that, so Baird, under this new business agenda item, you would like to move in and talk about the energy plan.
I would. Great. Danny, while I'm doing that, at the top of the chat, I put two links. One called Population and Energy, and another one called Solar Savings in Schools. Can you put on the screen the population and energy chart to start with?
Yeah, let me just.
Okay. And while you're doing that, I'll just give a little overview. So, as you know, Mark led this process off, was the author of a wonderful piece, and looking at different ways that our town could push forward a clean energy model here in town. And after meeting with the board and if you keep scrolling down a little bit, Danny, you get to Simsbury. Yeah, there we go. And after that, we went and had a very positive meeting with Tom Roy and Chris Petrin from the Department of Public Works to kind of get a little bit more specific about projects and places where the Sustainability Committee could make a difference. And from there, we went to meet with Jason Casey at the Board of Education to look at ways in which the schools might participate in that as well. And I just put together two charts that I wanted to share. It might be easier. It's really hard to see that on the screen because it's so small.
Okay, sorry. I was trying to get the
It's okay.
icons at the top there.
It might be easier for people to pull it up by themselves. But I pulled together some information with Mark's help that just looked at kind of where we are. And this first chart looks at Simsbury relationship to all towns that have similar numbers of residents, right? So from Bloomfield with 21,000 up to, I forget who's way up at 29,000 and something. And that, looking at where we are, and we are among the lowest number in terms of solar capacity and solar renewals. And if you look at our solar installed in schools, we are way behind other schools, other towns that are similar to us. Most of the schools have somewhere between 1,000 to several hundred kilowatts of installed solar on their schools. We have 15 currently. And so
Baird,
that's, sorry.
Baird, is this solar that contributes to the town's power grid? Like we have solar, but it doesn't contribute to our grid,
Solar that, this is solar, I mean, this school pays Eversource a bill. So this is solar that would offset the Eversource bill.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So if you look at that, we're not the worst, but we're toward the bottom in terms of overall solar, and our schools are significantly behind. So we're hoping we can work with Jason Casey to help to move us into a more respectable place at some point. Danny, can you pull up the other chart if you would? And there are two great things we've put forward to Jason Casey, that there's this wonderful program through Energize CT called Solar Map Plus, which one of the things that Jason has said that is problematic for him is that it takes a lot of time to write up RFPs, and that's true. It's a laborious process, and they actually do that process. They'll take schools and school districts all the way from the very beginning all the way through the end of putting together RFPs and figuring out how to create PPAs. And Lydia, you were talking about going in front of the Board of Finance. And so one of the charts that we pulled together was just looking at towns that have similar socioeconomics to Simsbury, because the amount of money you can get depends a little bit on the economics of the town. And as you can see that there are dozens of towns, there are many other towns, but towns that are very different from ours socioeconomically. But there are a large number of towns throughout Connecticut with similar socioeconomics to Simsbury that are saving either hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars with their PPAs every year. And unfortunately, we're not there yet. And it would be great to be able to hire more teachers and to be able to put more money into our school system and less money into Eversource. So we're hoping, working with Jason, that we can move forward in creating solar programs for our schools that are both free for our schools, right, with PPAs, and also help to create a better climate and environment for all our students, right, instead of polluting our environment, and also saving our school district money. And that's our hope of working, moving forward, a meeting with Jason and probably with Tom again to see how we move forward with that. So that's just a little bit of that, and the charts are there just for people to look at and get a sense of kind of where, how different towns are approaching this and where we might be able to follow best practice of different towns that are similar to ours.
This is a very good chart, Baird. Thanks for sharing it, because it's basically all over the map with a lot of the districts and their savings per year. And I'm curious how many of them and how long some of the districts have been doing the program, or did some of them just start recently, or where we are in terms of, and that would be my question, to Jason, where are we in terms of it compared to other like districts or similar districts?
We wouldn't even be on the chart yet.
Yeah, right. We're not, because we're still, and I'm sure we're not the only one that's still pontificating about this too. It is a lot of staff time per RFPs to look at this, but I think we need to look at it, or the town needs to look at it, and the district needs to look at it, the financial savings down the road.
And Lydia, I think you've hit on exactly a common theme, because it's interesting. The Green Bank has been saying, number one, they're a quasi-public state agency, right? And they provide no cost technical assistance to these school districts. And one of the things is that hand-holding through the RFP process and really driving that process, and even all the way through the installation of it. I think they understand the staff levels are so precious that they have to be able to come to the table with that with that human resource, or else it's a no-go for many districts. And what they've said as well is that this is now becoming more of a priority across the state. So to your point on Simsbury and other districts sort of sitting, watching while some other municipalities have engaged in school solar, and we've been watching that play out. The state is saying, look, it's proving, like, that model is proving effective, and it is proving beneficial. So let's continue to invest state money into greening our schools. And they've now carved out new funds in the commercial solar incentive program. This is going to be an exclusive pool to incentivize funding. It's going to offer higher incentives that have ever been before. And it also unlocks additional funding for carport canopies. I mean, think about Simsbury High School, right? Imagine that could be covered. And this is new, right? So this is, if there was ever a time to jump in, this is a fantastic time. And the assessments, again, are free of charge. They include all of these mechanisms to ensure that you're benefiting with utility savings from really day one. So it's great. This is a great position for us to be in, where we can share this information with the town and really help unlock the savings that is needed. I mean, imagine how these funds, instead of going to simply power the buildings, can be going towards teachers, or renovations that are much needed, and all those other things that, I mean, I know every penny is precious. Yeah, so that really is the information that we want to provide, and then get the town kicked off once Jason, the school, and then we have been going back and forth. I think he had been out of office briefly around the holidays, so we'll connect back with him. But once there is a definite agreement, then we can officially move forward with the Green Bank, and he and his team don't have to be, rolling up their sleeves day to day on this.
Right.
They can pass the work off. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
Because there is some real significant savings that can be, can be found and be had for Simsbury. So I think it's just
And it allows
it's
us
also
to
the
take advantage.
communication piece. It's the communication piece
Mhm.
to bring that forward, the reason why, because
Exactly.
and that's an important area right there. This is also new to so many people who don't really understand what it is, what it means, what this financial savings means at the end of the day, or the end of the year, or the end of 3 years or 5 years, or what have you. So it's how we communicate it, or how it gets communicated within the process.
Of course. And it also allows for progress to be made on investments that were already made. For example, the roof at Latimer is solar ready. So this allows us to take advantage of that hard work and those investments that have already been put in, which is, again, a great position to be in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good. This is good. Good. Sounds very encouraging.
Any other
Exciting and
questions?
encouraging.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Any other questions, Builds, Mark, Baird, anything?
No, I think this is great. The fact that you've got these savings is a great way to lead, right? Because whether you are concerned about the climate or not, we all want to save money and have more money for schools, for teachers and books. And secondly, this MAP program is a great way to kind of defuse the concern that you raised, Lydia. These projects take a lot of work. If you've got Green Bank who's done this across the state, that's a great. So I think you all have done a great job pulling this sort of concept together.
Thanks to you for
And
laying all the
we really
groundwork.
are, like all of us. I mean, we're concerned about the climate change. I mean, it's here. It's real. We understand. I mean, I don't think anybody is not concerned about it, but we are, especially with the school system, are very concerned about it. And again, it's how do we best, utilize what we possibly can. We have to start the process, and it's got to start somewhere. Otherwise, we're just going to be further behind.
Exactly.
And looking at some of those other districts that have been doing this for 10 years, 15, 30 years.
Right. And I am curious too how much, now that people are being very choosy about where they're purchasing homes and locating their families, how much of this is a conversation as to why you would move to an Avon versus a Simsbury versus a West Hartford. And, is it the things like this that the schools are able to offer and invest in? Is that is there a human psychology aspect to this as well?
There is there is, parents, they're shopping, they're hunting for a school system when they move into Connecticut, and they're looking, and a big top question is school buildings, and what resources are available for school buildings. When parents walk around a building outside, then inside, and take a look at a building in a district that hasn't been refurbished, rehabbed, or renovated, they have a lot of questions, and this might not, and we don't want to put out our worst building forward. But unfortunately, that's how many school buildings are in the state. They're older buildings, old buildings. And again, it's always a cost. It's a cost, it's a budget, it's a cost, and that's something. So
these savings can help tie up. These savings can help be used for that.
But it is. You remember, it's like, it's curb appeal, it's it's school appeal, building appeal. The minute you drive by and you take a look at that, you can start making your decision.
Very true. All right. Anything else on this before we move to open forum?
Right. So Daniela, welcome to the group, and can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And what you do, where you're from, or what your interest is in our very esteemed committee?
Absolutely. Okay, so originally from New York, but I did moved to Canton during high school. My dad became superintendent of schools in Hartford. And so we moved to
No,
the
your
area.
father.
Yeah, you
Oh
do?
my goodness. Oh gosh. Yes, I do. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I did live in the area for high school and then moved back to New York. And now I'm back in Simsbury. I have 2 kids, and we were also shopping for, a good school system when we moved out of the city. So have been here for, yeah, I guess close to a year. We just bought our house in August. So,
Good.
and in
Congratulations.
terms
Great.
of, thank you. And in terms of, yeah, what I do, I actually advise climate tech companies for
Oh,
a nonprofit investor. So on a daily basis, I am working with climate startups that are
oh,
trying to solve all sorts of problems and mostly advising them on regulatory policy issues to expand their business, and then working on them building out community engagement approaches and like their plan to
wonderful.
engage the community. So yeah,
Oh,
really
great.
excited to be participating in this. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're so
Thank you.
fortunate to have you.
Daniela, you're being a little bit modest. Could you tell us what you did in New York City and then in Washington, D.C.?
Okay. Yeah. So I worked for the mayor's office in New York, specifically on climate resilience. So I developed the city's first urban heat mitigation and adaptation plan, really developing the first initiatives around how do we use Hurricane Sandy funding to mitigate the urban heat island effect throughout the city. So built that out. As well as other resilience things. The heat pump conversation got me really excited because that was like something that I researched a lot during my time there. And then, yeah, I worked at USAID for an Obama initiative called Power Africa, which was essentially developing energy projects on the African continent. I worked on the Hill for a while. So yeah, bring a little bit of that DC federal experience as well. Yeah.
Great.
Absolutely
Great.
amazing. Did you work by any chance with We Act for Environmental Justice and some of their
Of course
initiatives
I
to
did,
get
yeah.
the school buses converted to electric, right?
So not the school
Okay.
buses, but yeah,
Okay.
worked really closely with the We Act on a number of initiatives.
They're amazing.
They are a powerful, powerful group, and I feel like a very good early on in my career, a really great organization to work with and learn from, because when it comes to environmental justice, they are
Mhm.
pioneers. So yeah.
And also being able to navigate the complexity of a municipality and how to marry, what the ambitions are with, the realities of day-to-day city governance. So
Yeah,
amazing.
absolutely. Yeah. So happy to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well,
in
we're
open
very
forum?
proud. We may not be New York or DC, or Africa. We're very proud of our small town. Well, because Canton is smaller than us.
Simsbury is awesome.
Canton is smaller.
Yeah.
It's smaller than us. We're not as large as Harvard, but we're very proud of who we are, what we
Yeah.
represent, and what we do here. It takes a committed group of an army of us to do this work. So
Yeah. No, super happy to be learning from you folks. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
great.
Anything else for open forum? Do I have a motion to adjourn then?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Well, then thank you all so much.
For over 40 years, SCM has been the voice of our town,
bringing us together through
local programming,
education, and live broadcasts.
SCM isn't just about television.
It's about empowering our community,
ensuring our voices are heard during government meetings,
and celebrating milestones
like our high school graduations.
But today, SCM faces a challenge.
Our funding structure is based on television subscriptions, and it's no secret people have been cutting the cord.
With a shift to internet-only subscriptions,
SCM receives less revenue,
even though all our programming is freely available online.
We need your support.
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 Your donation can make a difference.
It will ensure that SCM remains open,
continues to educate our youth,
and keeps our community informed.
Thanks to SCM, I've been honing my creative skills, helping me work towards my college degree.
SCM is crucial for keeping our community connected.
SCM isn't just here to broadcast local events. They're actually preserving Simsbury's history.
Join us in preserving Simsbury's voice.
Simsbury's voice.
Together we can ensure that SCM continues to thrive
for generations to come.
Visit our website
or scan the QR code on your screen to make your donation.
Every contribution
counts.
Thank you for supporting Simsbury Community Media,
where your town,
your schools,
and your government come together.